People often look to the future with a bright and positive attitude, with hope for a better world. But the truth is that this dream is falling apart. Instead of a world filled with advanced automobiles, beautiful cities, and thriving citizens, you will instead find no car able to travel faster than 3 miles per hour, desolate cities, and people dying on every street corner. How did such a dream fall down a dark path? The answer is energy. The world is built on energy and the power it brings. Without energy, the world would be trapped in the Dark Ages. And slowly, the world is returning to such a time period. Fossil fuels are disappearing without any way to replenish them. Thus, alternatives have become needed. However, the current solutions, such as wind, solar, and nuclear power, are not truly alternatives. Overall, they actually cause more damage than positive aspects they bring. Alternative energy, while it may have some positive aspects, has a larger amount of problems and should not be employed until further research is conducted. The first factor is cost. To build, power, and maintain the technology needed for such resources, large quantities of money are needed. According to Paul Roberts, as of 2003, hydrogen fuel cells were still 10 times as costly as an equivalently powered gasoline engine. Such a dramatic raise in the cost of supplying energy could have a dangerous effect on the world economy. Roberts also states that by 2030, almost 60% of the global population is expected to live in cities of 1 million or more. Bringing power to one location at such a large scale requires several sources of power, raising the cost concerning specific areas and their alternative sources. Another factor is durability. A typical wind turbine rises up from the ground several hundred feet. This plan is to counteract interference from buildings, but doesn't plan for airbound creatures. They could easily damage the turbine blades or any solar panels. Severe winds also cause an immense amount of damage to blades or panels. This adds to the cost of the technology due to repairs. Certain climates, such as ones that have dry, arid temperatures or snowy climates, could also cause yearly, even monthly damage. A third factor is effectiveness. Michael Fox, a science writer, wrote about alternative sources in Hartford, Connecticut. It was found that PV cells were typically 10% effective. Each panel collected 160 watts per square meter. So truly, only 16 watts per square meter were actually usable. Eric Rosenblum, another science writer, discussed a study in the UK. It was found that 1/3 of the time, widespread power wind facilities in the UK would be producing at less than 14% of capacity. This dramatic failure in energy productivity is unacceptable to power the world. A constant flow is needed at any singular time. The small capacity produced will power very little, eventually leading to an energy crisis. A fourth factor is availability. Land areas differ greatly in the amount of sun or wind received on a daily basis. Those closer to the equator have greater access to the sun than those in areas such as Greenland. Kentucky is an example. During the winter, the sun rises at 7:30 and sets at 5:30. This leaves us with more than 12 hours of time without sunlight. Storage units could be built, but extra funds and technology must be used, and this also increases the needed landmass to house such technology. And the fifth factor is landmass. Mark Jacobson discussed how 4 million wind turbines are required to power 50% of the world's energy. Doubling this equals 8 million turbines, which is needed to power at 100%. The world's population is expected to reach at 11.2 billion by 2100. To bring this much power to this many people, a large amount of resources must be used. This will cause overcrowding between man and machine. Factor number 6 is negativity to the land. Tourism is majorly affected by this. It will lower the economy because what tourist wants to travel to a land and see 400 wind turbines sitting in the background to where a temple used to stand? Habitat damage will also occur. Ian Murray discussed how 368 turbines at 10 sites had killed nearly 7,000 wild birds in a single year. This drop in bird populations affects insects and predator populations as well, and it will affect food supply and even environmental health for us. A seventh factor is the countries and relations between them. Borrowing money will occur due to countries wanting to build and use such technology. This could result in debt, leading to hostile relations. And then the hostile relations will affect agreements and trade deals. Then this will affect a country's resources, leading to further arguments, resulting in political battles. Finally, it could result in a world war. This may be a drastic example, but it could easily happen. Alternative energy is a controversial subject. Many are against such resources while others fully support them. The truth is that alternative energy will eventually become a requirement of living. Fossil fuels are disappearing and a replacement needs to be found. The problem remains that the current alternatives are unable to support the Earth and allow for survival. Further research must be conducted, whether to improve current alternatives or to create new ones. The world's survival is coming down to the thin power line energy has created. The line must be thickened with other options or be broken and leave the world reeling in darkness.